Hello, welcome back. This is the Girl versus Life podcast, product of Girl versus Planet. It's been a little while here. I kind of took a few weeks off from the podcast because I had some personal things going on, and I am actually still dealing with unemployment and all of that. And yeah, I have already talked about that, so we're not going to get into it today. So what I want to talk about today, I want to talk about what I consider my spiritual practice. I know that's something that's going to look a little bit different for different people, if you even have one. But when I was trying to figure out what to talk about today, I was actually in the middle of doing this and kind of landed on, hey, why don't I just talk about this? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So my spiritual practice, to kind of explain this a little bit. So a few years ago, I discovered um, what it was like to use a planner. It's kind of it's a trend, but I think people have been doing it for years, using like a paper planner. And then now actually I have started using a digital planner, which is a lot like a paper planner. It's basically just if you're using a tablet or like an iPad or something like that and you have a pencil, it's literally just the pages of the like a paper planner and you just write on it the same way you do with paper planner. So that's kind of what I do now. But I use a planner called Moxie Life, and Moxie Life, the planner, and then there is also like a kind of community that they have as well called Club Moxie. I'm a part of that as well. But the planner basically is about trying to set goals and kind of balance out different areas of your life. And there's 8 different areas. There is personal, fun and recreation, work and learning, family and relationships, health and wellness, and spiritual and personal growth, financial and physical environment. And these are kind of the 8 parts of everyone's life somehow. So Moxie Life kind of looks at those 8 areas and kind of walks you through figuring out, if you're happy where you're at in those areas and how you can grow and how you can set goals and accomplish them in those areas. My spiritual practice is what I consider a part of the spiritual and personal growth. And for a lot of people I know, that would mean religion. If you're a Christian or, if you're a different religion. And I actually grew up as a Christian and my family was very religious and in church every Sunday. And I was very devoted to that for a really long time, a big part of my life. And I don't really practice that anymore, at least not the way that I used to. So that's kind of what my spiritual practice used to look like. And it was going to church and, following Christianity and all of that. And that's not really what I do anymore. I don't want to talk too much about that because I still have a lot of Christian friends. And, like I said, I grew up with that and I kind of honor and respect it. It's just not exactly how I practice anymore. So that's what I used to do. And that's kind of what spiritual and personal growth looks like for a lot of people I know. And for me, I kind of, even though I, don't go to church anymore, I still want to find a way to include spirituality in my life. So what I want to talk about today is kind of what I do now and how that helps me and kind of how that brings spirituality back into my life. So I have a goal, kind of a routine that I try to practice every day. It doesn't happen every day and I don't beat myself up for that. But when I do it regularly, it definitely helps keep me in a good mindset. And so that's kind of what I'm going to go into. So I talked on my last podcast about tarot cards and kind of how I learned about them, what I think of them, how I use them myself. And so that's kind of a part of it. So usually what I do if I get, the spiritual practice every day, I first pull a tarot card for the day. And I'm not going to get into those too much here, but if you want to learn more about them, I'll put a link in here to my last podcast episode where I talked a lot more about them. But so I pull a tarot card for the day, kind of, look at it, think about it, try to kind of figure out what it might mean for my life or, what that part of my life means. For instance, today I pulled the Queen of Wands, which was interesting. I'm not going to go into what it means or what it means to me, but that was the one that I pulled for today. So I kind of process, how that could play into my life right now, gives me something to think about. And then I journal. And so part of that is I actually journal on I have a Kindle Scribe. If you're watching the video, I'll put that up there. But this is my Kindle Scribe, and it's basically a Kindle that's bigger than the normal size ones that you can write on, and it has notebooks in it. And so I have a notebook on my Kindle Scribe that is my personal journal. And so, kind of my process for that every day is I I also have a book on there called The Daily Stoic, and I liken it to like a devotional. Like when I was a Christian, I like to have a devotional, kind of something to read every day to give me something to think about. And this is kind of like that, only for people that are not religious. The Daily Stoic focuses more on kind of stoicism and aspects of life that can apply to everybody, whether you're religious or not. And I read that, I kind of process, what the Daily Stoic had to say for the day and kind of what the tarot card was and how that might apply to my life. And then I just think about just where I'm at that day, what's going on in my life, what I'm feeling. And then I just write. It's not like a scrapbook. It's nothing fancy. It's literally just handwriting a journal, just as if you were writing in a notebook on paper. I like going back and seeing that I've been consistent with that and kind of looking at all of the pages. And sometimes I draw little doodles. I usually put the date and time and the day of the week, but it's writing anything. It can be long or short. I'm just writing out what I'm thinking and feeling right then. So my tarot card pull, journaling, reading the Daily Stoic. And then I also like to meditate. And this is something that I just got into, I guess it's been several years ago now. And I've gone through periods where I don't do it nearly as often. But when I do, it does help. And it's hard to explain because there's no perfect or exact way to do it. And everybody's got their own way of meditating. I know my husband he does it completely different than me. But he's written some stuff about meditating. And for me, what I do is I like using a guided meditation. I use the Calm app, and I do pay for it because I use it for so many different things. I use it for a daily meditation. I really like the daily trip meditation that Calm has every day. It's always a guided meditation by a guy named Jeff Warren. And I really love the way that he walks you through the meditations each day. And so that's usually what I do. I also use the Calm app. If I'm at home when I go to sleep at night, I turn on rain sounds, and I have a Hatch alarm clock that I use for that usually at home. But if I'm traveling, a lot of times I will use the rain sounds in the Calm app on my phone because I really like their rain on leaves sound. And I just background sounds. The Calm app also has these kind of like endless generated music, like lo-fi music. And I love working and, just listening to lo-fi music throughout the day. Like so many times throughout the day, I will have my lo-fi music on either via the Calm app or an Apple album or a video on the TV. I'll put on a video that's got lo-fi, and I love my ambiance. So highly recommend the Calm app and Jeff Warren's daily trip meditations. They're always about 8 to 12 minutes long, kind of average about 10 minutes. And he just kind of walks you through meditating and kind of what that looks like, at least the way that he does it usually is, you're sitting, you close your eyes, and you're just kind of trying to be in the present, absorb everything that's going on, but be neutral to it. And just kind of listen, focus on your breathing or a background sound. Calm has background sounds that you can listen to during the meditation. And that's what I usually do. Like right now, I'm using the waves, and I listen to waves as he's guiding you through the meditation. And that becomes my home base that I go back and focus on and listen to as he leads the meditation. So, yeah, so that is kind of my daily spiritual practice. I try, pull a tarot card, journal, and meditate. Like I said, I don't get it done every day, but I do enjoy it. And um I know everybody's got something different, but I just kind of wanted to walk through what works for me. And for me, that's important right now because I'm dealing with some things like the unemployment. I've had some family emergency type of stuff with my mom, and it's been a struggle lately, honestly. And I think with things going on in our world, it is for a lot of people. So I hope that this could maybe be helpful to you. Reach out and let me know kind of what you do. What is your spiritual practice like? Are you religious? Do you read the Bible? Do you pray? If you're like an atheist or agnostic, what do you do? Do you meditate? Do you journal? What does that look like for you? So this is kind of going back to Moxie Life and Club Moxie. Um, I really enjoy having this as a part of my life, especially Club Moxie, because no matter what I'm dealing with in life, it is always something that I can come back to, and along with my spiritual practice. But Club Moxie, this is not an ad. It is just, this is me talking about it personally for myself. I like that it's structured, but there's always something to learn. Like Club Moxie kind of has this coaching curriculum where they do a topic every month and they kind of focus on something, and they put out like they do a talk, and you kind of people can, like a webinar, you can, talk to the person leading it, and it's about that month's topic. So they do that, and they do a Q&A later in the month about the topic. They do weekly reflections on Saturday morning, which I love, which is just some kind of time to plan out your week and look back at the previous week. And they have a community online. There's so much to it, and to me it's so valuable, and it's been such a big help to me when I really feel like I'm growing and I'm doing things the way that I want to do them, and I'm not in my own stuff and just struggling. When I'm really living my life the way I want to, Club Moxie and the Moxie Life System is just helpful to me as kind of a structure to that. So, highly recommend that. And these are the things that I do for my own spiritual practice. And I just thought that I would share them with you today. And so I'm glad to be back podcasting again. I've gotten a lot of questions and I've gotten good feedback. So I really hope you guys are enjoying this. I do recommend that if you can, you watch these on YouTube, because sometimes you might miss something. All the links are on YouTube to anything that I talk about. So, yeah, just, if you're listening, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, and the YouTube videos, like I said, also have a little bit more because you see the video. And I would encourage you to go out and subscribe. I have been stuck on the same number of subscribers for a while, and I'm just shy of like a milestone that I would love to hit. So please, I highly recommend go out to YouTube and subscribe. That way you'll see my podcast or any other YouTube videos. I've got some ideas for some other videos that I hope to do soon that will be coming. So, but yeah, thank you guys for listening. Let me know, like, what is your spiritual practice? I would love to hear what other people do. This is what works for me, but I'm always open to other ideas, and I would just honestly love to know what other people do as well. Again, thanks for listening, and I hope to be back again next week and get back into a rhythm. So thank you guys, and I hope you have a good day.